But let's move into the next topic, and we're going to be talking about the floundering Atlanta Hawks. Right now, the Hawks are one of the worst teams in the NBA, and actually, they are the second worst team in the NBA, just behind the Golden State Warriors.
Hey.
Warriors are 6-24. The Atlanta Hawks are
6-23.
Ooh, they're
squeaking through.
6-game losing streak, 2-8 in their last 10, 4-20 without John Collins, but John Collins will be returning. But so far, through 29 games, they have been disappointing, and we're going to talk about why. Try to dissect why they've been, so bad.
Yep.
And let's start off with, the suspended John Collins. How much of an effect do you think John Collins not being on this team had on the Atlanta Hawks?
I think a sizable amount, but not. I think a lot of people want to point to him as the reason they went on a 10-game skid and then another 6. I think they're at 7 game right now, or 6.
Six
game losing streak right now. Like, I don't think it's all on John Collins not being there. I think this team looks like a 2K team. It's the I just dumpstered my entire roster, and I took a bunch of draft picks in the last couple of classes. And we're just gonna roll them out there.
I'll tell you what exactly the problem is.
They don't have another ball handler next to.
Not even that.
Yeah.
It's all their veterans from last year are gone.
Minus Vince Carter.
Vince Carter, and then you brought in Jabari Parker. Woo, he did great things for the Bulls. But I mean, you look at everything. Taurean Prince, he's now in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Kent Bazemore, he's now in Portland.
Yeah, Evan
Dwayne
Turner.
Dedmon, he's now in Sacramento.
Yeah.
And then Jeremy Lin's just sitting there. Jeremy Lin's being Jeremy Lin.
playing
I think
in,
he was going to
Russia.
Oh, is he over in Russia?
He's either in Russia or he's in.
They traded
China.
him anyways midway through the season,
but,
and that's when Trae started doing better.
He's no longer with the Atlanta Hawks as a point. Those are a lot of it. Like, even Dedmon, when you watch King games, they mention what positive, although he's only getting 5 points a game, he's a net positive for that Kings team.
Yep.
And it's that to me is you had these veterans last year that could help this team. And this year, yes, you got Vince Carter. And yeah, you got Jabari Parker. Really,
and
with
Alan
those
Crabb.
two, those are really your two biggest to me. Yeah, they've got Alan Crabb, they've got Evan Turner, but it's when you lose that many veterans on a team, you just should expect this team to take a step back because now we're just letting the youth go and we're letting them develop, and then we'll worry about the vets
But then again,
later.
I mean, you're talking about them losing veterans, but the players that they brought in, it's not like they brought in guys that are. I mean, I think Alan Crabb is more tenured than Taurean Prince, and and Evan Turner is more tenured than Alan Crabb. Or
Kent Bazemore. Correct.
So it was just the fact that Evan Turner was cheaper.
You just traded some contracts around.
Yeah, Evan Turner was cheaper, and I think he's done this year. And Alan Crabb was for the Nets to sign KD, and I think also Crabb.
The Hawks got a pick, too.
Crabb was worth more contract-wise, and then they got a pick back. So
and Crabb has also done it after this year.
Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't a bad move, and I think the biggest move that hurt them was also losing Dwayne Dedmon. But I think another thing too is the lack of development that we have seen from guys like Kevin Huerter, the lack of impact that we've seen from DeAndre Hunter, from Cam Reddish. We thought that they would be able to step in and perform better, and I don't want to write them off as dead yet because
they're rookies.
They're rookies, and Kevin Huerter's a younger player. But I think also we saw what Trae did in the second half of that season last year, and he was able to take that step up. So I think that it's still possible that this team could still, be decent. But I think the biggest sign for me is just the defense and their lack of defense this year. And that just looks to, right at the coach for me. And Lloyd Pierce was brought in as a guy that was a defensive guy that was very smart, came from Philadelphia under Brett Brown. He was a guy that always was going to preach defense. He was going to make sure that that was going to be such a solid thing for this team. And they've been so bad at defense over the past 2 years. And it's even been a step down from last year. And I don't think it's going to change when you get John Collins back.
He's not exactly known for his defensive prowess.
Taurean Prince was a pretty good defender, so was Dwayne Dedmon. But I don't think it's going to be that much where it changes your defense drastically, losing
you have
them.
The worst defender in the NBA on your team, and he's your star.
I think it's overblown.
No, it's not.
It is.
He's statistically the worst defender in the NBA.
Right now, his defensive box score plus minus is sitting at negative 3.2. And the on-off defensive ratings aren't good for Trae. The defensive rating with Trae on is 117.3. And then with him off is 103.1. However,
Sorry.
But with the offensive rating with him on is 110.4, and then the offensive rating with him off is 94.3.
Yeah.
So the difference there is about like 3.
No, they don't have a point guard off the bench. They have no one else who can ball handle on this entire team.
But my thing is the fact that this team isn't like killing it, defensively when he's even off the floor.
103? That's very good. Right? That's what you said. It was 119 to 103.
117, 103.
Yeah, that's pretty good in the NBA right now. That's what I'm saying. Like, look, DeAndre Hunter was brought in because guess what? He's a veteran in college. He was a good 3-and-D wing. Cam Reddish couldn't shoot for shit, but he played tough defense. That was his whole thing. Is he's an athletic freak. Let him grow. Let him develop his offensive skill set. And I think credit to them. They're giving them the minutes, and that's the whole thing. Like, I think going into this year, you had no expectations of winning anything. The whole thing was get these kids as much time to play as possible and let Vince Carter be a mentor to the young wings and to literally anyone on this team because he's the ultimate professional right now in the NBA. But this team is laughably bad at defense, and it stems from the fact that Trae Young is the worst defender in the NBA. I mean, it's not even close. And then the fact that they don't have any other point guards on the roster.
I'm going to be honest here. I read those stats last night at 3 a.m. and I was like, that's not that bad. Come on, Trae.
And then you're like...
No, but I'm like, the difference with him, his offensive, abilities outweigh the defensive negatives. That's great. Good for him. But I just realized what I actually just said.
Yep.
So I want to apologize to my family for making a fool out of our family name. That's awful. 117, 103. Like a great one is under 100, so 103 is good. So sorry about that, Ricky. I just wanted to make sure my family wasn't represented in a negative light here because I'm stupid as shit.
With me, the big thing, it's like everyone wants to harp on Trae and his defense. Number one, and this is the first thing, if we're going to give DeAndre Hunter, if we're going to give Cam Reddish, if we're going to give Kevin Huerter the pass of, they're young players, they'll work on it.
Yeah.
We also have to give Trae Young the pass of, you're in your second year, you're still developing. You will do look at Steph Curry. How often did we rail on Steph Curry that his defense is bad?
It still is trash.
It still is. Is he still making a living in the NBA? And that's where
he got slightly better, and he's bigger than Trae Young is.
Bingo. He got slightly better, so Trae still has the room to get slightly better. And number two, I don't know if the Hawks found and I know we always bring it up, I always bring it up, their Klay Thompson guy. They need to find their guy to where it's like, and maybe this is with Lloyd Pierce, of like, hey, we're going to make the rest of this team so defensively sound that even having Trae out there is not going to be a liability. And that's what this team needs to do, because I feel like a lot of it has just been like, all right, we found our Steph Curry. What do we do with the rest? Like, we found our Klay Thompson and Huerter. We found our Draymond Green and Spellman, who's not even on the team anymore.
Correct.
He's actually playing with the real Draymond Green right now, to where I just feel like this team is super young.
Yeah.
So don't expect him to win.
No, but Trae Young's also like 5'9" and weighs like $170 soaking wet. Like, there's, you can be a good defender at a smaller size. Like, Chris Paul put on a lot of muscle. He was always crafty. He was always aggressive. There's a difference between being small and having the wingspan, knowing how to use it,
Chris Paul
versus
is a different
Trae Young,
type of
who's
player.
literally a turnstile at best.
But Chris Paul is a different style of player.
No, I'm saying, but height-wise, like size, he's a smaller point guard in the NBA. That's my point. Is Steph Curry's at least 2 inches taller than Trae Young and quite a bit heavier. But that's, again, you have age, you have muscle. That's fine. But like, he's little. It's not even funny how bad he is at defense.
No,
they just need to go get a bench point guard. That's the quickest way to fix this team.
You think that's the one thing?
No, that's the quickest way to fix this team, though, because this season they need someone on the bench who can create for others. They don't have that. So if you go pick up Dennis Smith Jr. from the Knicks on like a trash for trash deal, like, make it happen.
What trash would the Knicks want?
I don't know.
But you can't throw out trash for trash deals.
You can give him like
I got you back.
You could give him Bembry.
You don't think the fact that this team is 30th in 3-point percentage is more concerning? Yes, they don't have a
no. If no one can create for anyone else,
Trae Young can create.
Trae Young dribbles the air out of the basketball.
What?
Trae Young dribbles the air out of the basketball. Like, his time with ball in hands, I think, is second to like James Harden, and I think there's only like 2 other players who had higher like average time per possession with the basketball in their hands. I forget what the acronym for that is, but it's something ridiculous. But yeah, no, he is just so ball dominant. And again, he's amazing offensively. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's a bad player. It's just the fact that they need someone else who can create for others because Kevin Huerter can't do that. DeAndre Hunter can't. Cam Reddish can't.
But at least for the guy who's has a 34.2% usage percentage in Trae Young, who has such a majority of possessions, is playing 35 minutes per game. You'd think that he would be able to create more open looks for the guys around him, right? And I don't think that's happening, or the guys are just such shit on their team that they're not able to hit these shots.
That also is part of the deal.
So I think that John Collins coming back will help them. Yeah. Obviously, it's going to help them create more offense.
Agreed.
It's going to draw more attention. Guys will be more open. You'd think that NBA players would be able to make those shots. But in the end, I don't know if what I'm trying to get to is I just don't know if the coach is right. Because
I was going to throw that in there.
I already threw it out
No. But the
4 minutes ago.
Thought I was going to have before you guys were going back and forth is, and I know we bring this up. I bring this up a lot in situations, but this one it truly fits. Is Lloyd Pierce the Mark Jackson to this team, saying he's the guy that's supposed to develop?
God.
No. Ignore the names. I'm just comparing it. Is he the guy that's supposed to develop the team? Not the one that is supposed to put them in the right spots. Because what Dave's talking about of like how Trae Young can't do this. He dribbles.
He's not even putting him in the right spots, Ricky.
And that's what I'm saying. Is he the guy that he's supposed to just develop the talent? And then
he's not even doing that.
And then the next guy they bring in is supposed to be the guy that is like, okay, now I give them the offensive system that makes it all click. I'm not saying he's doing it, but was he hired to be the development guy before then they move on and go to the next level guy?
He's not. There was other coaches than Mark Jackson in the league. Jesus Christ! Do you remember any other coach? Name one other coach besides Mark Jackson. Bet you can't do it.
Van Gundy.
Well, you did it. Congratulations.
Van Gundy and Rand. That's why.
Because it's his co-host on ESPN. I don't think it was that type of scenario. Lloyd Pierce is fairly young from what I remember. He's coming from the 76ers who were able to develop talent. He's 43 years old. I think that he was a former player in the league as well. I think it was just the fact that they liked his youthfulness. He was a part of the Golden State Warriors as well back in 2010, 2011. That's where Travis Shelnick worked, the GM of the Hawks. I think it was just mainly about the fact that he was young. They liked his energy. They liked the fact that he had a focus on defense. They wanted to make sure that he could take this team and develop him. But that's the issue. Like, that was his goal, but he's not doing it. Yeah. So I don't know if it's a Mark Jackson type or if it was just the fact that he was supposed to develop along with this team as a great coach. I think they were just taking a shot at a young guy, and I don't think it was him trying to mold them to be a good defensive team and then give them an offensive system. No, I think they were just trying to, I think offensive systems are blown out of proportion nowadays. It's mainly just get guys that can shoot, set pick and rolls, and then move the ball around, pass the ball, and you'll get an open shot. And that's the idea. You don't really need to implement a complex, crazy offensive system with 50 set plays. You just need to have a great playmaker, and usually things happen off of that. So
I mean, yeah. I would argue there's more to it than that. Yeah, you look at teams and
maybe obviously, at least for your main offense, it's not like you need these crazy, drawn-out, elaborate plays. It's not like you need, multiple guys that can handle the ball.
It's usually the play style of the coach matches the play style of your main creator, and that's how you succeed in the NBA. You saw it with Mike D'Antoni in Houston. As soon as insert point guard here, guess what? I can pick and roll, pick and pop, pick and destroy everything in front of me and have one of the best offenses in the league. Giannis and Bud, Luka Doncic and Rick Carlisle. We're watching them even without Luka out there. Their bench looks so deep right now because they're able to play in a system that Rick Carlisle knows will work, and he knows how to get his guys in the right position. So I think a lot of it's just I do blame the head coach for a lot of their problems. Yes, there's some personnel stuff where this team just doesn't have the right fit for the right role, but I go back to you just don't have enough guys on this team who are NBA caliber performers if you expect to win that many games this year. Like, you don't have a backup point guard in the entire team.
Like, the only coach in the NBA that I can think of that's good, and it's not like hey, we're going to pair you up with this guy. It's just like, here's your team, and he does well with them, is Spoelstra.
Yeah.
Like, he's the only one that's like, hey, here's Jimmy Buckets. Hey, here's Dion Waiters.
He's got the benefit of picking one of the biggest brains in basketball history, though, and Pat Riley. But no,
he did get
Spo
paired
deserves all the credit in the world.
You're going to get paired with LeBron James coming in playing with the big three, though. Like,
but then there was very little drop off when LeBron left, and he brought back to the playoffs.
Exactly. With D-Wade.
D-Wade and Chris Bosh. I mean, it's just that team just keeps rolling. So I look at this team, and yes, I do blame Lloyd Pierce because the fact that his offense out there may be one thing, but I feel like it's just turned into let Trae Young do whatever Trae Young wants to do and hope for the best out of it. And then defensively, you're not getting the level of effort out of guys that you need to compete at a serious level. So it doesn't help that, out of your 3-point shooters, Hunter shooting 46%, Herter shooting 34, 35 for Hunter, Herter. Cam Reddish is at 27. Vince Carter's at 30%. Like, you're just getting
Jabari's
abysmal.
At 28.
And all these guys are taking 4 threes a game. So, like, if no one can knock down those shots, it doesn't matter that. So, I think it's a long way around of just saying, get another point guard, look at your head coach, and see if you can do something about an offensive system, because Trae Young just creating with Trae, just as Trae Young, is not good enough to win games in the NBA with your current staff.
Yeah, and I would at least give him to the end of the year too. I'm not going to say
I'm not firing anybody.
Fire Lloyd Pierce at the end of the year. I do think that at some point the idea of him being the long-term head coach does need to be brought up, because maybe you do need to get someone that does more than match Trae Young's abilities and style, and maybe someone who can at least play more up pace and up tempo.
Look at where he's gone from college Trae Young to this Trae Young. Like, point out the differences in him running an offense. That's what I'd love to see. Like, have you seen Lloyd Pierce invent a new route for him to take, change his play style that much? And I look at his college tape, I look at year 1, look at year 2, and I'm like, I mean, he looks like the same player. Like, I haven't seen a ton of. I don't see a different game plan offensively for Trae Young. It's not a dramatic difference.
Well, and 2 things. First off, I worked out a trade for your Knicks thing.
All right, let's hear it.
Dennis Smith would go to the Hawks.
Yep.
And then Bembry and Damian Jones would go to the Knicks.
Wouldn't trade Damian Jones, weirdly enough.
Here's the thing, though, and this leads me into my second point. I would, if my plan this year was to tank. Because if I'm going to get James Wiseman, all right, then I don't need Damian Jones no more. I can just have James Wiseman be my 5, and then Fernando off the bench, or Fernandez off the bench.
No argument here.
Could be my backup. So it's like, that could also
play into it.
Why wouldn't
you trade Damian Jones?
What?
What's up?
Why wouldn't you trade Damian Jones?
I think he's got upside.
He does.
He's 24, 25.
He's also
you just
an
not
RFA
change
at
trade
the
him because of the rings that he's got?
No, I legitimately think that he's got upside and he's a positive player. And in a couple of years, he'll be, maybe not a top 10 center in the league, but I think he'll be a pretty good player.
And for the Knicks, I mean, Bembry's an RFA after this year.
Yeah. I'm just saying, do you think Dennis Smith Jr.'s, going to turn it around? Like, he got benched on the Knicks. What does that say?
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know if it's...
I know the bench. I know the Knicks bench everybody because they're a bad team. But
I don't know if I'm saying I don't like Dennis Smith Jr. So I'm not saying like trade. I'm not.
I
saying,
just know
I'm
he's a name
one
that's come up in trades.
Yeah,
recently.
I'm not saying trade for Dennis Smith Jr. But the fact that you're just like, oh yeah, Damon Jones untradeable.
I'm not saying he's untradeable. I'm just saying I like his fit on that team.
I don't know.
He's not one of the first guys I'd give up off the team.
The other thing I was going to bring up, and this comes to draft with the Hawks.
Yeah.
They need, at this point, if I'm a Hawks fan right now, first off, I'm not expecting to win games. I am full on go tank mode, tank commander time. And I only want 2 guys.
Yep.
I want James Wiseman or Anthony Edwards. Anybody else is not going to mesh with this team. Because if let's say they get a top 2, and then the lottery happens and they get 3, and let's say Wiseman goes, Edwards goes, then the Hawks are in a unique situation of like, all right, what do we do?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of point guards and we have a point guard.
True.
Like, that's the thing with the Hawks.
They could get some more capital, though.
It's more of, for me, like, John Collins ain't going to push the needle a lot. He's going to push the needle a little bit.
They're going to win more games with him out there. Don't get me wrong.
Exactly. But it's not going to push the needle a ton. Like, they're not going to be a playoff team. Those are the only 2 guys I'm looking for this offseason for the Hawks. Do veterans aside, signings aside, I need Wiseman or Edwards on this team if I'm going to be happy as a Hawks fan next year.
Do they have, like, what are their other picks coming up? Because I know
they've got the 19, well, right now it's the 18th pick.
And that belongs to
the Nets.
Gotcha. So they got 2 picks in the first round this year at minimum.
And they've got picks next year. I'm going to pull it up real quick.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, the whole point of this team, I think you're right, is you're just amassing so much young talent.
Yeah, so right now they have the Cavs pick, it looks like, but it would not transfer because the Cavs pick is currently in the top 10.
Yep.
They do have the Nets pick because the Nets pick currently is not in the top 14, so it's top 14 protected. So if it is, gets into the lottery, then they would get that. They do have the ability to get the Blazers pick, apparently. That might not be true, but it's top 55 protected, so it really doesn't matter that much.
Yeah.
And then it would transfer to. Then they have the. Looks like they have the Sixers pick.
They do here.
Sixers second round pick. That's 56 to 56 to 60 protected.
No, it's 31-55 for Philly, 56 to 60 for Boston. Because they've got Philly and Boston.
Oh, okay.
So from what I have
It
here,
splits it, yeah.
31 to 55 to Philadelphia, 65 to 60 to Boston.
55 to 60.
So that's the Hawks have 2 second rounders. If it's between 31 and 55, it goes to Philly. If it's between 56 and 60, it goes to Boston.
So it's going out.
So right now they don't have a second round
They
pick.
don't have a second round pick right now.
So they got
all they've got is their
2
own
firsts.
in Brooklyn.
Yeah, 2 firsts. Their own in Brooklyn. They have the possibility to get the so the Cavs one would then go to the Pelicans.
Yes.
If the Cavs fall out of the top 10, the Pelicans would get a top 10.
Unlikely,
right.
but yeah.
Right now, they've got 2 first rounders this year. They have a first rounder next year, and then a first rounder and a second rounder in 2020.
Okay.
Or 2022.
Again, you've got so many high draft picks on this team. It kind of reminds me of the old Phoenix Suns. You're not going to be good at basketball, but you can kind of shuffle through guys until you find out who your true core is going to be.
And you don't have to worry about Devin Booker. You don't have to worry about an older Devin Booker, like, oh, we got to start winning games, so he stays.
You got a couple of years for Trae Young.
Yeah.
You got 2 more years before you have to worry about that. So I think that's the whole deal is you just run through these young players. If you get a top pick in this class, in a Wiseman or something, that's a game changer for your team. But you still have so much capital and so many picks on this team that like you got time. Don't rush anything. Don't make any desperate trades. You got cap room coming up. It's not going to be the best class, but you might be able to get some of those nice guys who are going to be middle pieces. And then maybe if you can get a team friendly contract where it's front loaded and then it scales down with time, like they can contribute in a lesser role, more as a mentor as it ages down. But,
I know Tankathon, their mock draft is just a big board with teams attached, but I'm going to be honest. If the Hawks walk away with the 2 first rounders that they got in the latest Tankathon mock draft, I'd be happier than a pig and slop. You get Anthony Edwards with number 2 pick.
Yep.
And then if they're at 18, Trae Jones. Trae Jones from Duke, there's your backup point guard.
I agree.
In 3 years, who is still on this team?
Trae Young.
Trae Young, Hunter, Reddish, Herter,
And that's it.
and their
So
top
Trae
5
Young,
pick from this year.
DeAndre Hunter. No, just guys that are currently on the team.
Current roster.
Trae Young.
Hunter, Reddish,
And Herter.
Herter.
I got 4 guys.
4. Maybe Bruno Fernando if he's like the backup center.
I don't know.
David?
I agree. I think it's 4 guys are a lock, and after that, it's questionable.
You think Cam's a lock? It's not like Cam's been good.
What's up?
It's not like Cam's been
Yeah,
good.
but it's his
No,
rookie
he's
year.
not been bad. Like, if you look at his last month, I think his shooting splits are like 39, 36.
39.
39, 36, 70.
It's an improvement from 32.
It's an improvement from his college career.
Guess.
Like, that's the whole thing is you look at him and, again, he's an athlete right now. You want someone who's an athlete who's mobile. He was young. He's absolutely moldable into whatever he can grow into. Like, I don't move on from someone who has his athleticism, his effort, and his defensive ability. You let him play. Like, those aren't terrible shooting splits.
Those are horrible shooting splits.
The field goal
like
percentage. Alan Crabb.
The field goal
but he's
percentage
like
is
19.
shitty. Okay, yeah, he is 19. I'm not writing him off, but also
Yeah.
the 39%. Let's not act like 39%.
Look at the shots. If you look at the shots he's taking from the mid range, so that's why you look at that. It's not like he's missing to finish at the rim. He's just taking not great quality looks because he's not confident shot. He's getting a lot of looks, but he's just taking shots to take shots at times because they just need someone else who can attempt them, for lack of a better term. Like again, this falls on the fact that their rotations are fucked up because they don't have a backup point guard. So you end up with him taking 10 shots a game, and you're like, how the hell is that working out?
Yeah, at the rim, he's 55.3%, which isn't great, but it's fine. 26 of 47, and then in the mid range from 3 to 10 feet, he's 30%.
That's what's killing
10 to
him.
16 on 21 shots, he's 19%,
Whew.
and 16 to 3-point line, he's 27%. He's 27% from three on the year. He's been garbage at least throughout the entire year.
Yeah,
but then
but this
to be
last month-
fair, in the past 9 games,
Yeah.
he is he's might be better than his college career,
That's
which
what
was
I'm saying.
one of the worst college lines
With
we've
young
ever
kids,
seen.
you got to look at him month by month.
39.6% from the field, 36.4% from three. In college, he was 39% or 35%. Sorry, 35% from the field,
Yeah.
and 33% from three.
Yeah.
And 77% at the line. I
Again,
don't know. I mean,
he's uber upside. That's why we talked about him so much during the draft. It was, can you take someone who has shown us nothing other than the fact that he's an athlete
well
that
but
high in the draft? And the answer is yes.
Here's my thing with him. I need to see more out of it before I give me a field goal percentage over 40% before I could say he's even here, because we never even saw that in college. Like, this was the same thing we were talking last year with Cam Reddish every single goddamn month. So I'm not going to talk about it again. Like, oh, he's at 39%. Hey, maybe he's turning around.
That's
he's
some
probably
upside.
going to have the next 5 games in December to take him down to 35% from the field.
Ooh, get out of here. Hater.
I'm not a hater. I'm just being honest. That's what Cam Reddish is. We always love to look at the bright side of Cam Reddish, but also we just we wouldn't be able to take him out of the top 10 because of the upside, because of
Exactly.
the positive. I'm not saying he doesn't have upside. I'm just saying, can I see more from Cam Reddish? Can he shoot 40% from the
Look,
field before
if he keeps
give him
trending
more
in this
credit?
direction month
It was
over
9
month.
games.
Yeah. It's again, you look at month
The
by
month
month.
isn't even over.
Exactly. We got a couple more games.
He might, but that's the thing. He might just become shit again.
But what if he gets better?
Maybe.
Hey.
What if one of the draft picks the Oakland Raiders traded for turns into Khalil Mack? Trade Khalil Mack to get Khalil Mack.
Honestly, that trade's looking really bad right now.
No, it's not. It's not. Don't be stupid. Final thoughts.
Don't panic. This is a young team. You're tanking. Accept it. Enjoy your season. Get a backup point guard.
Dun, 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 dun. Put the tank commander hat on.
I agree.
It's time to
And
roll.
I would probably say those 4, but I would say the 3 that for sure will be here are Herter, Young, and Hunter. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you think about the Atlanta Hawks, especially you Hawks fans? What you got for us? Who do you think is going to be here long term? And what are you happy? Are you disappointed? Are they meeting your expectations so far?
Should have said
Through
Vince Carter's
29
going to be
games.
here in 5 years.
I wish.
Hey, there's a chance.
I wish,
Vince
man.
Carter's never retiring.
Shout out Vince Carter.